Your life will not be peaceful when everything is perfect, but when you stop trying to be perfect. There are times when we pause, look at life and ask, does all of this matter? In the hustle and bustle of the modern world, which worships success, happiness, and achievement, there is a man sitting in the corner of a small coffee shop, lost in his thoughts. He looks out the window, watching people pass by, each walking hurriedly as if chasing something invisible. The man is nobody. He's not a celebrity, not a successful entrepreneur, and not someone the world wants to remember. But it's precisely that which makes his story so relevant. He's just a reflection of most of us, someone trying to understand why life often feels like a never-ending circle. Every day, he wakes up with anxiety, as if there's a hole inside of him that can never be filled. Social media displays the lives of people who seem perfect, full of smiles and achievements. His friends talk about vacations to exotic destinations, promotions at work, or their ideal partners. All of this makes him feel like a loser, even though he doesn't know what he's really chasing. Have you ever felt like that? Like what you do is never enough. Like the world keeps demanding more, and you don't even know who you're trying to prove yourself to? The man feels that way. Until one day he gives up. Not giving up in the sense of quitting life, but giving up on the game the world plays. He realized something most of us ignore, that most of the things we chase in life, all the things we think are important, may not mean anything at all. That day he decided to stop. Not stop living, but stop caring, stop giving excessive attention to things that don't matter. I'm tired of trying to be perfect, he thought. Tired of trying to meet the world's expectations that can never be satisfied. Maybe it's time I decide what really deserves my attention. He took a book from the shelf, a book he had ignored because of its provocative title, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. He opened the first page and the opening sentence hit him like a strong punch. Not everything in life is important. In fact, most things aren't important at all. The man felt like he had just found the key he had been searching for all these years. He realized that his life had been filled with lies. The lie that he had to be everything to everyone, that he had to keep fighting for recognition, that he couldn't make mistakes. All of that was a burden he had carried unquestioningly until now. In the silence of the night, he began reading deeper, learning the principles that taught him that not every problem is worth fighting for, not every opinion is worth listening to, and not every success defined by the world is worth chasing. Each page opened his eyes to the reality he had been ignoring. Life isn't about having everything, it's about choosing wisely. Choosing what deserves our energy, time, and attention, and letting go of the rest without regret. The man is nobody, but he could be anybody, you, me, or the person next to you. His life journey is a reminder that sometimes, the key to finding happiness is not adding more things to our lives, but letting go of the things that don't matter. And that night, under the dim light of his room, he decided to start living differently. Not by trying to be everything, but by bravely choosing the things worth caring about. A small step, but its impact would change his whole life. In a small town, there lived a man named Andi. He seemed to have it all. A good job, a harmonious family, and supportive friends. However, beneath all that, Andi wasn't happy. He often felt stressed from trying to please everyone, chasing recognition, and avoiding problems in his life. He always felt something was missing even though he had done everything. One day, while walking in the park, Andi met an old, mysterious man named Mr. Manson. Unexpectedly, the conversation with Mr. Manson changed Andi's perspective on life. Realizing limitations. Mr. Manson started the conversation with a simple sentence. Andi, life isn't perfect, and that's okay. Andi was shocked. He had always been taught to work hard to make everything go smoothly. But Mr. Manson explained that life is full of problems, and happiness doesn't mean avoiding problems, but choosing which ones are worth fighting for. Imagine your life as a garden, said Mr. Manson. If you try to take care of every plant in that garden, you'll exhaust yourself. Focus on the flowers you want to see bloom. Andi reflected on this. He realized that he had been too busy worrying about unimportant things, like other people's opinions or small problems at work. Choosing what's important. Mr. Manson then asked, "What really matters to you, Andi?" Andi paused. He had never really thought about it. Mr. Manson explained that in life, we can't care about everything. We must choose what deserves our attention and energy. Don't let your life be determined by what others think, said Mr. Manson. Choose values that are meaningful to you, like family, health, or real contributions. Andi began to reflect on the values that mattered to him. He realized that his happiness lay in the time he spent with his family, not in career achievements alone. Taking responsibility for your life. The next day, Andi went back to the park. This time, he confided in Mr. Manson about the mistakes he regretted in his life. Mr. Manson smiled and said, "Andy, we all make mistakes. But remember, your happiness isn't about what happens, but how you respond to it." Andy learned that even though he couldn't control everything, he could take responsibility for how he reacted to situations. When a colleague criticized his work, Andy no longer became angry or felt inferior. Instead, he began to see criticism as an opportunity to learn. Learning to say no. One important lesson from Mr. Manson was the courage to say no. "Andy," he said, "you can't please everyone. When you try to do so, you end up sacrificing yourself." Andy remembered many times when he agreed to do something he didn't like just to make others happy. He eventually started saying no to things that didn't align with his priorities. The result? Andy felt freer and had more time for the things that truly mattered. Accepting imperfection. One day, Mr. Manson said, "Andy, not everyone is special, including you. And that's okay." Andy felt offended hearing that, but after it was explained, he understood the point. He had always felt burdened to be perfect, to be the best at everything. But he learned that being a regular person was okay. "When you accept yourself as you are," said Mr. Manson, "you no longer get stuck in the need to prove yourself to others." Death as a motivation for life. One afternoon, Mr. Manson spoke about a topic that people rarely discuss: death. "Andy, someday we'll all die. The awareness of death can be a reminder to live fully." Andy was shaken. He realized that he often postponed important things like spending time with his family or pursuing his small dreams. From that moment, Andy decided to live more boldly, making decisions based on what truly mattered to him. Meaningful values. The final lesson Mr. Manson taught him was about values. He said that true happiness comes only from good values such as integrity, love, and contributing to others. Andy started leaving behind bad values like the pursuit of popularity or social approval. After these encounters, Andy's life changed. He was no longer stressed by small things, no longer afraid to face problems, and focused on what truly mattered to him. He learned to choose wisely what he cared about, as attention is a limited resource. Mr. Manson's lessons not only changed Andy's life but also gave him the freedom to live a more meaningful life. Andy now knew that life didn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. In the end, life is not about how many things we chase or how much recognition we receive. Life is about the courage to choose what truly matters and letting go of the rest without guilt. When we stop caring about things that don't matter, we finally make room for true happiness, peace of mind, and deep meaning to grow. Life is short and our energy is limited. So choose wisely what deserves your attention. Happiness is not found by adding more to the world, but by letting go of what doesn't matter. And you can start by subscribing to this channel. See you in the next video.